Once upon a time, in a kingdom where flowers bloomed all year round, there lived a gentle and kind princess named Snow White. She loved to spend her mornings in the palace gardens, greeting every bird, every butterfly, and every blooming flower as if they were old friends. Her heart was so pure that even the shyest deer would come close to say hello. One bright morning, Snow White visited the royal cobbler to have her slippers mended. The little shop smelled of polished wood and fresh leather. Shoes of every color and size filled the shelves, but high on the top shelf sat a pair of shoes unlike any she had ever seen. They were deep red, sparkling as though sprinkled with golden stardust. That night, as Snow White sat by her window, a mysterious letter appeared on her sill. It glowed faintly, as if written by magic. Carefully, she unfolded the parchment, and the words shimmered before her eyes. "Dear Snow White, the red shoes need you. Trouble is coming to the kingdom." The next day, Snow White returned to the cobbler's shop. To her surprise, the cobbler smiled warmly and handed her the shoes. "They've chosen you," he said. With a deep breath, Snow White slipped her feet into the red shoes. At once, golden sparkles swirled around her, and her heart filled with a strange but wonderful sense of purpose. Before she could even think, the shoes carried her swiftly through the palace gates and into the forest. She moved like the wind, her steps leaving glowing golden footprints behind. Squirrels chattered from the trees, rabbits peered from the bushes, and a curious deer followed, as if they knew she was on an important journey. At last, the shoes brought her to the farthest fields of the kingdom. But instead of green grass and flowers, everything was covered in frost. The trees stood bare, and the air was cold and still. In the middle of the frozen meadow stood a tall figure, the winter spirit. His eyes were kind but sad, and in his hand he held an empty silver chain. "I have lost my silver bell," he whispered, "and without it, I cannot bring back the warmth of spring." Snow White's heart filled with compassion. She began to dance across the icy meadow, her red shoes glowing brighter with each step. Wherever she danced, frost melted away, and colorful flowers began to bloom. Birds sang again, and the air filled with the sweet smell of fresh grass. The trail of magic led her deep into the enchanted woods. It was a place of mystery. Glowing mushrooms lit the ground, and tiny fireflies floated in the air. At last, she spotted the silver bell, tangled in a web of green vines. Gently, she freed it, the bell's surface shimmering like moonlight on water. Snow White hurried back to the winter spirit and placed the bell into his hands. His face brightened, and as he rang it, a magical sound filled the air. Golden and icy blue light swirled together, and the frost began to disappear, replaced by the fresh colors of spring. The kingdom bloomed with life once more. Villagers danced in the fields, trees blossomed, and the skies were filled with birds. Snow White returned to her palace garden, her red shoes gleaming in the golden sunset. From that day on, whenever the kingdom needed help, the red shoes would carry her to where she was needed most. And so they all lived happily ever after.